This is a follow-up to the Panasonic PV DV900 that I worked on yesterday and spent all that time and got nowhere. But we got a different error code. So I'm going to take this thing apart again, completely take it apart, disconnect everything, and put it back together and see whether it's just a gremlin and we can get this one working. If it doesn't work this time, then this thing's going in the garbage. Now, to refresh your memory, let's take a look at what was happening when I tried to load a tape after reassembling everything.
Incompatible tape. Whatever the hell that means. I had this little camcorder apart yesterday to clear the 02 error code. And when I got it all back together, it has an 01 error code and is showing incompatible tape type. So I'm going to just tear it all apart one more time and just see whether there's anything that is not quite right. I did look at it again yesterday before I put it all together, and everything looked to be tight. What I'm going to do this time is I'm just going to take it apart. I'm not going to be talking much during the video because this is just a one last shot to see whether there's something that's come loose or something that didn't go back together right when it went together. So I'm just going to pull the mechanism out, undo all the connectors, redo them all again, and see if there's any different in the operation. Because initially I had the what was it, H02 I think it was. Anyway, it was an 02 error code initially, and that error code is gone, but now it's an 01. Now, because I've taken this thing apart before, I know what screws need to come out and which ones shouldn't have to. I took out the one over the tape compartment. I probably didn't need to. I don't think these ones need to come out either. Front cover should pop off. There's one more right here. That comes off. And 3 screws in here come out. These two have to come out from the speaker, as the speaker needs to be unplugged, and the controls, of course, they need to be unplugged.
Now my thinking here is, because all these camcorders that use these edge connectors
Come off, no.
have caused so many problems in the
this
past.
This one does not need to come out. In fact,
especially the Sony's
power supply board in place.
So even though they look good, it's possible that perhaps one of them is just not making a good connection. So by removing them, like just unplugging them and reseating them,
we'll lift off.
It could fix the problem.
Undo these other 2 connectors down at the bottom here.
Because we've all seen how many problems have been caused by connectors that need to be reseated.
Okay, next will be the camera board comes out. 1 screw here, and the board will lift out, and then the camera itself should unplug. whole section should just pull right on out. Like this, complete with the edge connectors still attached. I guess one could take out those connectors if they felt they couldn't get that out without damaging them. Okay, now I've got the main chassis that needs to come out. There's one screw that holds it in right here, and then there's two more that come out from down here on both sides. You need a longer screwdriver to get at that. I'm going to use my supplemental lighting so that I can see what I'm doing. In other words, my spotlight, so that I can see exactly what I'm doing without blinding myself with the reflection. Screw, and there's one more down here. Actually, there's two more. There's this one, and there's another one over here. Now if I open up the lid, the camera section should lift out. Oh, this comes out first. That comes out, and then the camera section, or the recorder section, should just pop on straight out like this. Oh yes, two more connectors have to come undone. Missed those. This is for the viewfinder. That one, and this other one. Lift those two out, and now the tape transport drops out. I'm going to open up the circuit board on here and just make sure that all these connectors are in correct. I mean, they all look fine, they all look tight. I don't see anything that's loose, but we're going to take them apart and reset them anyway. Just in case one of them wasn't making a proper connection. As I said, I was getting weird results when this thing booted up, so possibly one of these connectors is just not seated properly. So that's why I'm taking them apart a second time, just so that I can reseat everything, and I'm going to pull the board out too as well. Okay, there's the circuit board out. Everything seems to be on here. There, that screws in place. I don't see any connectors that aren't looking good. The only thing I can think of is possibly one of the connectors wasn't seated properly. That's why I took it all apart, just to look to see if there's any damage to anything, but I don't see there's any damage to any of the connectors here. They all look good. Okay, well, we'll just throw this thing back together once again and give it another try and see if anything different happens. There's always a possibility that one of these connectors just wasn't seated correctly when it went back together the first time, and possibly one of the pins wasn't seated properly. That's the only thing I can think of, is that possibly one of these pins may be either on the drum or the cat. Well, I mean, a drum was turning, and so was the capstan motor, otherwise it would have eaten the tape. But the only thing I can think of is possibly one of them may not have been seated exactly correctly. So took it all apart just so that I can reseat the connectors again. I'm going to use my bigger magnifying glasses just to make sure everything's in. Another warm day today. It's like 25 degrees. I got the main door open and I got the little side door open to try to get a bit of breeze blowing through here. I don't see any. I'm inspecting these contacts just to make sure there's nothing damaged.
I know this part is tedious. I just want to show what you got to go through to get these things to seat properly, because this is critical. If as much as one contact is misaligned by even a fraction of a millimeter, where one contact is not making a 100% connection, it's going to not work. So this is one point where you really don't want to rush yourself.
If you're wondering why I'm paying so much attention to these edge connectors, it's because this is the #1 cause of problems. Like on the Sony camcorders, there's so many of them that have all kinds of intermittent strange problems, and you remove the edge connectors and reseat them, and 9 times out of 10 your weird problems like the drum spinning up to 10,000 RPM and then shutting down will go away. So that's why I'm paying extra careful attention, and that's why I took this thing apart a second time, just so that I could go through and just validate that each one of them is seated correctly and that they're perfectly straight. Because all it takes is if it to be off by, it's not quite perfectly straight. One of the contacts just may not be made properly, and then you get weird, strange problems. So that's the reason I'm doing this, is just to make sure that everything is in place. That's the dew sensor wire there, and the dew sensor is right there. Okay, that looks good. What is this? I guess that's supposed to look like that. Looks like a piece of bent metal, but I think it's part of the. It's supposed to be like that, I think. I certainly didn't bend it, that's for sure. Okay, I'll just try placing this back in the cabinet now. We'll plug it back in and see whether I get any different results. One thing that kind of concerns me is the way that this plugs in. Maybe if the plug that connects between the power supply here and this other board wasn't seated quite right. That's one of the things I checked the first time. So I'm making sure that this plug is fully seated. I find having a little spot, not necessarily have it too bright, I have it turned down to the minimum, but just having that little spotlight just makes it a little easier to see the target, which is the hole down at the bottom here. Okay. Okay, camera board goes in next. course I did this backwards. I should have put this in first. It's easier to put it in before the chassis is mounted, but a little late now. There we go. Okay, that should be enough together so that I can try this out and see whether there's any change whatsoever in the operation. VCR. Oh, well that's different. It opened up correctly this time. Is this going to be a good news story? Am I still going to get that dreaded incompatible tape? Ooh, no incompatible tape message. Is this thing going to play? Okay, how come the buttons don't work? Wait a minute, wait a minute. Victory! So, I don't know what the hell was wrong with this thing. I really don't. I don't know what was wrong with it. All I did was I took it apart again and I put it back together. So it had to be one of those goddamn connectors. Pardon my French. But one of those goddamn connectors just wasn't seated properly. Visually it looked fine. But I took it apart again and put it back together. And now it's playing. And now I got a guy that's real happy. He won't be happy when he gets my bill for the amount of time I've spent on this piece of crap. But it's working. Excellent. And that means it's not going to eat the tape when I eject it. See, even it's behaving a little differently because if you remember with part one, I had to cock it a second time to get the tape basket to open. So let's put the screws back in. And then you guys will see the light of day on this video, because if it didn't work, oh shoot. If it didn't work, I wouldn't be showing you this. You gotta be kidding. Let's see if I can straighten the stupid strap. I gotta take it apart again to fix that. You gotta be. Just when everything's going right, it goes wrong. Dah. Oh well, this is not that big a deal. I just have to take out, basically this side and one screw that's holding the side cover on right now. I don't even have to take the side cover all the way off. I just have to remove it a bit. One screw here, and this will lift off, and then I should be able to straighten that bracket. And then I can put this piece of crap back together. There. That's better. That's better. Alright, back to square one. Let's put this cover back on. And then put this thing together, and you guys can see part two. As I say, because if this hadn't worked, then you would have been just left hanging on part one. And I'm not going to re-edit this into part one. I'll give you guys some suspense. I could have just waited and edited this in to the final video, but I like keeping you guys in suspense when these ones don't work out, because I like to see the comments that people put in there that call me an idiot and all kinds of things. But hey, this gives me more views, right? So and it'll give Johnny Shithead more complaints for repetitive content, because that's what he's doing now. Do you realize that that goofball the guy that needs to send a check, he files for every video I publish a minimum of 12 spam complaints to YouTube. I'm sure they're tired of hearing from him with his 12 spam, spam, repetitive content, unsolicited, what's he call it? I say unsolicited email, but I don't email him. He gets his email from YouTube because he's chosen to receive content. There's one screw I'm going to put in here where it to go. I think I can put that screw back in. Yeah. He's chosen to receive notifications when I publish videos, and then he doesn't like to receive. Then he complains that he's receiving unsolicited notifications.
He's probably tweeting and firing off emails about this right now. He'll be saying I'm releasing his private information, but I haven't actually said his name. I've said, send the check. That's not his name, but he'll say it is.
In case you guys are wondering, yes, I did put the screw back in here. I don't know if you saw it on camera, because I had the camera off there for a minute or two while I was doing this. And put this cover back on. Don't need access to this. That one was a plastic screw, so just grab it here. Cover back on the button door. Get everything all buttoned up. Then that'd be something that didn't work again after taking the side cover off to fix the hands or the shoulder strap clip. Wouldn't that be something that broke while I took it apart again? And no, there will not be any screws left over. Every single one will go back in, like they always do. Alright, this unit is finally back together. No worse for... Ooh. Oh yeah, a couple more screws here. Gotta put the last couple screws in here. Okay, I think I got them all now. Just looking to see if there's any that are missing. I don't have any extra screws on my bench, so they're all in, as you can see. One in there. Two up top here, one over here. Okay, all the screws are in. We'll put the battery back on, make sure that that works still. I can remove it, good. And we'll put the hand strap back on and the lens cap, which is fitted through here. Okay, battery is on. Camera power. Make sure that everything works. Viewfinder lights up. You can see it lighting up there, and I have a picture. Black and white picture. It says tape not inserted. There's that one there. Tape not inserted. Well, we know that part works. Let's go to the VTR. Load a tape. The moment of truth. Play. I hear sound. I don't know how to adjust the volume on this. There must be a button for volume, I would think. Wherever it is. Oh, I bet you through the menu. I think this is it here. Push, volume, jog, push. Is that what it says? Push for the volume. Oh, there's volume there. Okay. Volume down, volume up. I guess that's as loud as it goes. It's really only so you can hear what you're doing. But there it is. It's working. This was recorded on May 21st, 2001, and this would have been recorded using my JVC GY DV900. That's when I made that recording. Probably been when the camera was relatively new. It was the last professional camera that I purchased before I went to HD for everything, and that camera no longer works. I'm sure it needs to be serviced because it hasn't been used in a very long time. I retired it I used it for 2 years, I guess, and then maybe 3 years. I think I went to HDV in around 2005, so I may have used this for 3 years. I went to HDV because I had clients wanting stuff done in high definition, and then my business partner found out he had cancer and did not survive, and I decided at that point that I was not going to do weddings anymore. So that's what I used to use these cameras for. That in commercial production, but same when my business partner passed away, and that was 2006. That's when I decided it was time to not bother with doing the video production stuff, and I parked the cameras and parked all my new cameras. As you can see the time, I don't know if you saw the time when I started on this, but it was probably about an hour or so ago to tear it down and put it back together. A lot quicker this time once you know what to do. Once you know what screws to take out and how to take the camera apart, it's actually not that bad. It's just initially when you get on one of these things, when you've never seen one before, they are a real pain in the ass to try to figure out what the engineer did when he put it together. I still think it's a stupid design. It's not nice and easy to service like Sony, but hey, we have success. I was able to get that pulley that was seized up unseized, and it is now playing tapes. And that's a win in my books. Should I make a test recording? I certainly can. I can make a test recording. The guy actually has sent me a brand new tape with it. So let's give him a test recording on his tape. In the package, a factory sealed Maxell Mini DV. There should be a pull string on here, but I'm lazy. So I'm going to make a recording, and I'm going to take this outside here and just take a few shots so I can send it back with the camera. Okay, put it into camera mode. And there it's in camera mode. Hit record. Here's a look at the workbench. All the clutter on the workbench. So one thing I have noticed on this is I don't know where the AV output is. I know it's got a DV connector here. But what about AV? I see headphones and external mic. Does this thing not have an AV output? That's odd. I thought all cameras had an AV output, but am I blind? Oh well. Most people would just use the DV output anyway for copying tapes. Let's just rewind this tape. I just, shot a minute or so. Make sure everything's working. I'll let you guys see what I shot, and I'll be sending this tape back with the camera when it goes back. So here's what I shot. There's a look at the workbench. All the clutter on the workbench. Let's take a look outside. Here's my car. All charged up, ready to go the next time we need to go somewhere. Some flowers in the garden, complete with my little fountain that the pump has failed on again. Zoomed in all the way down the street. Zoom all the way back. I'm looking at this in the black and white viewfinder because it's pretty bright out here today. And I'm also testing the black and white viewfinder while I'm doing this, making sure everything's working. And this is what I'd rather be doing rather than cooped up in a hot shop on a nice day. Is I'd rather be riding my beast here. This is the I changed this part. This is the part that was slipping before, and I glued it temporarily, but this is the part I had to change. That one had broken before. So once it started to slip again, I figured it was time to go get a new one. So off to the Harley shop I went, got a new part, fixed it up. That's right. That's right, Mr. B. Pollinate those flowers. I want some strawberries. Strawberry plants. I've got a few of them here. Started with one, but I got a bunch of them now. Get fresh strawberries. Okay, that should be enough recording for testing this thing. Okay, guess that pretty much does it. It seems to be working. So I will say thanks for watching, and we'll catch you in the next one. Bye.